Hello students, so here we are today to discuss, not exactly, to revise whatever we have already discussed in the classes for second years, and today we are going to deal with the sixth chapter, that is When You Are Old by W.B. Yeats. Now, if you have textbooks, open your textbooks, otherwise get it. Yes? Sure? So, the poem When You Are Old, which is written by W.B. Yeats. Now we have already discussed about Yeats, right? And if you haven't attended the class, you are yet to attend the class. Now let's read about something about Yeats. Now W.B. Yeats is born in Dublin. Now the Dublin Ireland. Okay, he is an English poet and he is from Ireland, so there is no need to get a lot of confusions, because at that time Ireland or Irish people are fighting for their freedom from England. Okay, so if you have seen the map of England or United Kingdom, for example, you may see that England somewhere or United Kingdom, and north of the same island we can go with the Scotland, and to the west of it, northwest actually, there is another island that is called Ireland, and northern part of Ireland is still under British is controlling over there, or it's a British territory even today. So there was a movement called Irish nationalism, or sometimes it is also called as a revolutionary movement also. Now, why I'm saying all these things? Because this has something to do with this particular poem. Even though the poetess doesn't speak about the nationalistic movement, roots are there over there. Let's begin. So, When You Are Old is a love poem. Yes, and not exactly as all the love poems we have discussed or we have come across all these days, because most of the poems we have come across mainly focus at two tenses, one present, another one is past, but this particular poem focuses at future or imaginary future. Remember, not like many love poems, this poem doesn't deal with when they were being together in the future. No, it doesn't. Instead, it says that the beloved or the lady will be all alone. So that particular future is discussed in this poem. So in that sense, it's slightly difficult or different, not difficult, it's different. So, understood? This is the first part. And going back, who is addressing and who is addressed to? Well, the poet or the speaker in this poem is addressing his love or the woman he has loved. Understood? Usually we say that speaker and the poet are different, or most of the cases, but here it is believed that the speaker is our poet himself, or Yeats, W.B. Yeats is discussing about or talking or addressing his loving or the woman or the lady he has loved, that is Maud-gone. Now, what happened over there? Well, she is a nationalistic, she is a leader, or she is very much into the nationalist or revolutionary movement, and he is supporting the movement. He is attracted by her. Of course, not only he, so many people have attracted by her, but in this particular poem, he brings a contrast between all the other people who loved her and himself. Okay? Now, so then what is the theme? Of course, we have already discussed this is a love poem, so theme is definitely something to do with the love. It's not just love, there is something more than that: love, loss and regret, because the poem is again discussing about unattained love. Yes, Yeats loved Morgan, but Morgan rejected him. So maybe as a last resort, he was writing his poems. He has written a series of poems for that matter, and over here somewhere seems to be he is trying to persuade her. He is trying to persuade her, do not do this. If you reject, this may happen to you somewhere. So maybe that is also one of the idea we can observe over here. In the examination, remember, in the examination you need not write any of this. Instead, you can bring out the names W.B. Yeats and Morgan. Understood? So the poet is in love with Morgan and she rejected his love, and then he wrote this poem later on. Now, shall we go to the text? Yes, if you have text, get it now. Let me read from the text. Of course, my book is slightly old, may not be as old as the lady which is discussed in the poem, right? If you have text, just check the picture over there. The woman or the old woman sitting in the chair reading some books, right? One book, and behind that there are 3 more images or pictures. You can just observe that, and you know there is a stark difference between that lady in the background and the lady sitting in the chair, right? This may be somewhere past and present, the understandings. So let me read. When you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once and their shadows deep. First stanza. When you are old and grey and full of sleep, when you grow old. So she is not old, right? He is telling her, when you become old, when you grow old, that means in the future. In the future, everybody has to become, if we live, survive, yes, we will become old, right? So when you become old, what happens when a person become old? Grey. Grey is associated with so many things, color grey, but we can also associate with our hair, right? So hair turns to grey means, yes, we lose that part of beauty also. And full of sleep, again become weak, not being energetic. So maybe contrast he is bringing over there, we can discuss later on. And nodding by the fire. What is nodding? Feeling drowsy, numb, and at that time or feeling sleepy by the fire. What is this fire? Fire. This fire shows it's about fireplace. Now fireplace, of course, in the cold regions there will be fireplace inside the house. There used to be fireplace inside the house, and to keep the house warm and as well as the people warm. Now usually the fireplace are again required especially in the winter. So it's a winter. Winter again is a symbol for the old age. So she has become old and it's a cold winter and she is sitting by the fire. When somebody needs to go and sit in front of the fire, that again represent they become weak or they are not very active. So she is sitting by the fire at that time. So he is telling her to imagine, or he is imagining, actually he is imagining his beloved has grown old and that old lady he's sitting by the fire, sitting in a chair. Maybe then he asks her, take down this book. She has to read the book. Which book? The book of poems he is now writing. Okay, the book he is writing now, she has to take down and that read. How to read? Slowly. Why? She has to think. She has to remember. She has to analyze. Okay, what she has to think, what she has to remember. The past. when her youth, at those times she has to think and dream of the soft look your eyes once had. So when she is young, she has a soft look, she has a beautiful eyes. Think of that. That means, again, dream of the soft look your eyes had once. Once you had, but not now. That means she has lost that physical beauty or the charm, and their shadows deep. So all this, observe, old and grey and full of sleep, nodding and slowly read. All this suggests not of beauty, not of young and energetic and beautiful person. Instead, something totally different. You know what is it, right? So if you have got this, let's move on to the next part. Second stanza, again 4 lines. How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. Let me read it again. How many loved your moments of glad grace, loved your beauty with the love true or false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. So second stanza, 4 lines, 5 times he has used the word love. Observed? Yes. Now, how many? He is referring to the so many young people, young suitors she had. So many people attracted by her beauty, and they loved her. What did they love? Look at the last two words. Glad grace. Glad meaning happy. Grace, elegance, or again we can say beauty. So when she was beautiful, when she was happy, when she was full of high on spirit, then they loved her. So elegant of beauty or expressions, this is what they were in love with, or that means her physical beauty. She was beautiful and people attracted by her, or they loved them. And loved your beauty with the love false or true. They loved. What did they love? They did not love her, they loved her beauty. Okay? They loved her beauty, and that love false or true. Their love is also false. Not everyone's. Many of their love is also false. Many of them did not even love her beauty, but they presented in front of her as if they love her. Okay? Third line. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you. Only one man. In the first line it says many people were there to love her beauty. In third line, only one man. Definitely he is referring to himself. He is the only one who loved her pilgrim soul. Now pilgrim soul, what is pilgrim? You know, the person refers to the person who goes to. The poet loved her pilgrim soul. He did not love her beauty, instead loved soul. Now pilgrim soul is again meant as said to be a questing soul. Questing means searching. Now a soul or a person who is searching for something. What is he searching for? Something which is meaningful to that person. True love, or nationalism, or the freedom, or the final one. Well, he loved her he loved her pilgrim soul. Only he loved her. That means only his love is true, and all the others who were there, their love is not true. And love the sorrows of your changing face. Observe, loved, the only man who loved her soul, pilgrim soul, loved the sorrows of her changing face. Sorrows. He loved even or he loved her even when she is sorrow. And changing face maybe speaks about old age or getting old, losing her beauty, losing her charms. So he loved her, not her beauty. Let's again, there is a contrast over there. Many people, moments of glad grace, moment akshana, that particular time, but he loved sorrows of changing face. They were loved glad grace, happy when she is happy. Now he loved even when she was sad. This is the second stanza, what it is deals with. Okay, so clearly there is a difference between the first stanza and second stanza. In the first stanza, poet imagines she is being old. Now second stanza, he talks about when the things happened when they were young. Actually that is the present. Third stanza, or the final stanza, and bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars. Yeah. Bending down, how is she sitting? Remember the first stanza, she is sitting by the fire, right, in the chair and reading the book, and she is bending. Now bending, maybe bending because of the old age, again refers to old age. Besides the glowing bars, she is sitting by the fire, and in the fireplace fire will be burning. Of course the fireplace may have this metal bars, and that bars maybe that's glowing. Murmur, speak in a very low voice, or whisper. How is she whispering? Little sadly. She is sad. She becomes sad when she remembers the days of her youth. She becomes sad because all that happiness, all the things she had when she was young, she doesn't have it at that time. So she has become sad. How love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead. Now she thinks about, she speaks about, or she whispers about the fact that the love has fled. That means it is not anymore. She cannot attain that love. Observe the word love. How is it? How is it written? The word love is written, observe, L is capital or uppercase letter. Why that is an uppercase letter? Because the poet is personifying the concept of love. Understood? Love is treated as person. Or in other words, we can also say that is the person who loved her. Okay? She cannot attain that person, or she cannot attain that love of that person. He has fled and paced. Pace means move or step upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face. Hid means being hidden. Again, his face amid a crowd of stars. Amid, what is the meaning of amid? In the middle of. Where? In the middle of something. Okay. Now, in the middle of what? Stars. Where can we see stars? In the night sky. Remember, if you remember correctly about Romeo and Juliet, whatever we have discussed in the class, or the Rashmi madam has already discussed, stars can be seen in night sky, yes, but Juliet wants to see Romeo as the stars, right? That means all refers to the person who has died. The person who is dead. Now, he hid his face amid the crowd of stars refers to the love with a capital letter again has vanished, unattainable, or it is not anymore. There is no more love. This is another idea the poet is bringing over here. Okay, so it tells, or when she was whispering, she is kind of regretful. When we are very regretting for whatever we have done, we won't be very confident and we won't be boasting around, right? We will try to limit it for ourselves. So she is whispering, the true love, the poet or the speaker has fled and he is not coming back. Even if she wants to attain that love, she cannot attain it. Now this part, while writing the poem, the speaker himself identifies with the person who is wanting to reach, wanting to be at the beginning of the poem, the speaker is in this particular part, other side. Now it is his beloved. So this is the poem, and the poem is very short, only 12 lines, but it deals with one major theme. What is that? The love, right? And there are 3 stanzas, and the thing we have to remember, the thing we have to observe is that she hasn't become old. Yes, the woman, the lady the speaker loved did not become old at the time the poem has written. Instead, the speaker imagines his beloved, or the person who he loved, being old, and he imagines her to be old and writes this poem. This is first part. Second stanza, the narration, actually what is happening, and third stanza, he goes back to that imagination. So there is a change of time from present to future. Remember, it happened like that when we are young. He is not talking about we met at that time and we did this, that, we have seen this and that. He is not talking about any of those things. Instead, he is talking about what may happen in the future. Kind of warning, right? So, if this is a poem, then we can discuss about a few more things. The contrast contrast he brings our uses when he is discussing the poem. We have already discussed some of these things. First stanza, if you remember, the poet writes the poem in the poet writes present tense, right? But imagines. So this goes to future. What type of future? Unreal future. He is talking about possible future, unreal future. Then this is the one contrast. When he is writing in the present, he talks about the future. He imagines the future. And then observe the first stanza, the description of the lady, old and grey and full of sleep, nodding by the fire, bending down, slowly reading. And when it comes to second stanza, last line of first stanza and second stanza, eyes having the soft look, moments of glad grace, pilgrim soul. These are the few images which are contrasting. So when she was young, her eyes had the soft looks, moments of glad grace. Many people loved her beauty. When she grows old, she is sitting alone by the fire, whispering a little sadly. Okay, this is the part where we can observe these things. Then we can, when we are discussing about the question and answer, we will discuss about the time, how the time moves from present to present to future. We can deal with that. when we are discussing about question and answer. Shall we proceed forward towards the question and answer? Yes, in a